USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Everyone who works at Starbucks, full or part-time, gets stock in our company. Which means that when Starbucks succeeds, our people do too. At Starbucks, benefits like company stock are just the start.
And welcome back to the Boundary Corner Podcast, a part of the College Huddle Network, along with my partner, Brian Siegler, and our special guest host tonight, Coach Robbie Compton. I am Curtis Wilson. And as always, we are brought to you by the Counts Family Pharmacy, your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, 301 South Main Street in Blacksburg. And if you are heading down to the spring game this weekend, stop by, say hello to Jeremy. If you don't want to say hello to Jeremy there, after the game, go say hello to Jeremy and Brian and Pete B from 2 Deep and Dan. And y'all have a fourth? Is it just y'all three? Is Pat or Billy?
I don't know if Sam's going to be there or not.
Sam? Okay. I think Sam, Jesse from Sons of Saturday, all going to be at Maroon door after the game. That should be an entertaining few hours because I know y'all are not.
Y'all can't make me chug a rail because I'm not at Tots.
You're not at Tots. That's true. That's true. Yes. I'll also say this. Me and Brian, freshly off of the Carnival Sunshine Cruise out of Norfolk, Virginia, where we got tanned. We drank mixed drinks. We gambled.
A lot of them.
We were on crystal clear beaches.
Looks like the skipper didn't get stranded anywhere this time.
No, he didn't. The skipper didn't get stranded anywhere this time. Skipper had fun, though.
It was a good time, man. It was a good time.
You can't see them back here. How many shot glasses did we get? We were there every night with dinner. Took at least one shot. I think, Brian, you got one extra because you took the Cinnamon Toast Crunch at the end.
I took one extra at the end of the week, but I missed Tuesday because we were late getting back from Nassau.
Did you roll out deep in the shot glasses like we used to do at McAdee's in Farmville?
Yeah. It was at least 8 to 12 shots being taken every night at dinner.
Oh yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I think we had a party at 30 though. So
I had the drink package too, so I was drinking all day, all night at dinner.
Might as well.
I had to get my money's worth. Once you spent the money, you got to go out there and make sure you're getting your money's worth.
Occasionally, Brian would just roll up to me and be like, "Here you go." He's just like, I got to drink them some way. We'll say this. We both ended plus in the casino. PK's at 3 a.m.
Been there.
Yeah. Plus in the casino. Lots of fun in the casino.
Yeah. I was up just over 300. I think, Curtis, you were, what, 350?
I was up, 240.
Okay.
But that last night.
I was up 4.
You were up a lot.
I was up 4, and then I didn't have a good Friday night, but that's okay.
No. Well,
the craps table finally said no, sir.
Yep. And then the blackjack table, we just kept getting. Well, how many times you hit 21 like twice or 3 times? Or no. You hit 23 times, and the dealer drew to 21.
Drew to 21.
For some reason, my favorite hand at a blackjack table is like 9 and 4.
I like a 9-4.
Yeah.
I kept getting like a 5 and then getting like a 8 or getting a 9 or a face card. Like, what are you doing? Like, stop dealing me these hands. Either deal me something low or deal me something high.
Yeah, I kept getting like face 5, face 6.
Just the well, it all depends on how many. Well, we will say this: ace or face 5, face 6 is okay with a big table.
Yeah,
because with a big table, there's a lot of info out there, and you can say, you know what, there is a bunch of face out there.
3 people playing, the odds aren't good, so good.
No, it was me, Curtis, and one other random dude between us.
Yep, that was it. And we kept getting bad hands. Oh, by the way, got to tell the cool story real quick. So, we were in the store on the ship, the liquor store. You know where
where the $75 Jack Daniels was.
The $75 3-liter Jack Daniels, 3 liters. I've never seen anything that big in my life. I didn't get that. I got enough whiskey downstairs.
That's the part of the story I missed. I just thought it was a regular bottle of Jack for $75. 3 liters is a different story.
Completely. It's a great deal.
Yeah.
But you got to carry it all the way back to your car. I got 2 bottles of rum. They had Bacardi liters for $15. I couldn't do it. But anyway, so we're sitting there, me and my neighbor Andrew. Brian, I think this was the day you were in Nassau. Can't remember, but you weren't there. So anyway, I just bought mine. I just asked the guy a couple questions about something, and this lady comes behind us. Notice she's got a Virginia Tech thing on. And I just kind of mentioned, I'm a Virginia Tech fan. She's doing her stuff. And we convinced her effectively to, instead of, she got the Woodward's Reserve. My neighbor Andrew, huge into whiskey, told her, there's a double oaked over there for $10 more. Go get it. It's a better tasting one, and so on. So, and we start chatting with her, and he mentions offhand, my buddy Curtis here does a podcast for Virginia Tech football. She stops and she cocks her head towards me and said, "Then you must know my son." I was like, "Well, who is that?" Fontel Mines. I know Fontel Mines' mama. And I said, "Not only do I know your son, who he is, I have interviewed your son on my podcast before, and he is a super nice guy." She was very nice. I got a picture with her. I'll have that up. It was funny though. Small world.
Just the fact that she's wearing Virginia Tech stuff is awesome, considering where he went to school.
True. Well, I think his mama knows who pays the bills.
Yeah.
Brian, anything you want to share from the excursion?
Oh man, riding the golf carts up and down Bimini was pretty awesome. Got to check out a guy harvesting some conch right out the water there, and then eating it from a shack that is held up by plyboard, and there was some really good and really interesting folks that we met there. So I was just excited to kind of take all that in, experience that, and yeah, man, it was a good time. And like I said, I took advantage of the drink package on the boat. So y'all know I was feeling good most of the time.
Yeah, he was feeling good most of the time.
Never got shit faced. I was just good. I just had a steady buzz most of the day.
Now, I don't know for sure, but I've always been told that you can drink a lot more and not feel nearly as drop dead drunk on a cruise than you can anywhere else because of the boat.
You feel half drunk when you're sober.
You do. It's not a lie. So it is true. Like, there were a couple of days I had 3-4 drinks in a tight period, and I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it. Although Monday, exactly.
Monday the ship was rocking, baby.
Oh man,
it was raining sideways in the morning, And then in the afternoon, the water got choppy. And one time she like listed to the left and like held for a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, all right. This isn't bobbing and weaving. This is just bobbing.
We just holding the line right there. I was in my room when that happened.
I felt like I was in the Smooth Criminal music video.
Yeah, I've been Western North Carolina right now long enough that I probably could have managed that. I feel like one leg's getting shorter than the other already. Standing on my heel, I'd have been good to go.
There we go.
Well, just so you know, it's out of Norfolk now, man, and they're doing Bahamas. And Brian, I looked up, they're doing an Eastern Caribbean where you can go to Grand Turks, come back by Half Moon Bay, the super nice little island on the western part of the Bahamas, and then the Celebration Key.
Well, next time.
Both of y'all's first cruises?
Both.
Yeah.
Okay. I've always heard stories that once you go, you're hooked, and you're gonna go forever. So it sounds like you're already planning the next one.
I mean, for price per person and what you get and where you go, it's unbeatable. I mean, and Brian got the drink package, and clearly he was having the time of his life with a bunch of mixers and beers and anything you want.
Yeah, I was out there like, if it was on the menu, I'm like, all right, give it to me.
Sure.
Some of the like rare rums that they had in a couple of the bars there, like they had some African rum, they had some Caribbean rum, they had some.
Give it to him.
Yeah, whatever it is. So you get a
rum.
You get a 2-finger for like $18. So anything under $20 is in the drink package. So.
Make your next vacation unforgettable on Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Star of the Seas. It's everything you've loved about every family vacation you've ever been on, with mind-blowing thrills at the largest water park at sea, 7 onboard pools for every level of chill, more than 40 ways to dine and drink, and even more to enjoy at our award-winning private island, Perfect Day at Coco Cay. This is the new Star of the Seas. Click or tap the banner to find out more.
Put us in a box. Go ahead. That just gives us something to break out of. Because the next generation 2025 GMC Terrain Elevation is raising the standard of what comes standard. As far as expectations go, why meet them when you can shatter them? What we choose to challenge, we challenge completely. We are professional grade. Visit gmc.com to learn more.
It's true. Well, as much fun as that was, and again, looking potentially going again. We messaged you in November. You should just come with us. You should have just came with us. We'd have had a fun week.
My spring break is next week.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll look at the summertime one. There we go. There's LeVar.
Going to some cool places on my spring break next week.
Let me think. This week they're in the Caribbean. You probably could find a room and go to the Bahamas, probably for like $1,000.
Yeah, I'm going to Windmill Bakery, and I'm just as happy about that as I'm. For those of you that know,
you know. If you know, you know, and if you where we're from, you definitely know. But anyways, we got a spring game to unload. Riley went down to Blacksburg for a few days. Can't tell the whole story. He gonna get in trouble, but got some insight, got some thoughts on things. So we're gonna talk about that. Then we're gonna do a little spring game preview, kind of look at each position and what we're feeling on each position. Talk about a few players here and there. But Robbie, I want to start with you. Obviously, you went down for the coaches clinic where you got to mingle with all the coaches, the new coaches, the old coaches, see some practice, see some things, learn some things. And I want to start because we know you're a defensive guy, and I know you spent a ton of time with the defense inside those seminars and those trainings. Give me your impression of Sam Siefkes, because he is the biggest unknown of this group, more than anybody else. But what is your biggest impression of him, just as a person, as a coach?
He's a very, as a person, as a coach, the man is a teacher. And I know he's said it in several of his things that I've watched since he's taken the job there at Virginia Tech. Trying to follow him, trying to figure out, looking at his old stuff, where he's been, watching some film and stuff from Wofford, watching some stuff with the Cardinals, which are two totally different. Not totally different looks, but so much more involved with the Cardinals, obviously with a group of pros compared to Wofford. But you can tell he's a teacher, and he said it himself. It's a coach is an educator to start with.
Yep.
And he makes things so simple to the individuals in the room that he's teaching his stuff to by giving things in chunks and pieces. He calls them buckets. And it's simple education stuff that I use every day, taking little pieces, building, scaffolding, taking things here, building pieces onto it until it all comes together in one piece. And I think that's going to be huge in allowing the guys that they have there to learn this defense quickly and effectively and be able to take off running when they get there.
Can I ask you this? The stuff you went through, did you feel like after sitting and hearing him explain things that you could just go out like, I can do this drill, I can teach these elements like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I felt like just by talking. Now I have a little bit more of a base knowledge than the average person would, but just the way he talked about things and put some things together, I mean, it clicked to me. I mean, I felt like I could go out and I could get a call and hear it and know exactly where I needed to be, where anybody needed to be at any time. He's very effective teacher. And that's going to help a lot with younger guys coming in, with everybody learning a new system, some things like that. It's going to help tremendously, I feel.
Yeah, that's exciting. And I mean, when you talk about the buckets and kind of breaking down those things into small pieces, I think that's a big key, especially when you're learning a new system like the Hokies are this year. Yeah. Being able to make things digestible and to layer what you're implementing in a way that, we can do almost like, like a college course. Like you got 101, 201, 301, where you just kind of build it on it as you're going along there.
So, but that was fascinating to see and to be able to pull things there. As a high school coach, I feel like I run a system that's similar to some of the stuff that Siefkes does. Obviously at a much, much more basic level in high school than the complexity of some of the stuff that we know he can do by watching films from Arizona and things like that. But it was very easy for me to pick up the way he was showing things, the way he was teaching things to us, and just simple things, and how it could build on so much and make it be so simple for his players to understand and to pick up and to be able to run, but would look so complex to anybody outside of it that didn't know how it's built.
Yeah. Let me ask this, Robbie. So like a lot's been made about, needing a Buda Baker type for this thing to run the way you want it to. Is what you're seeing are you going to need that caliber of player, not necessarily a Buda Baker, but someone that can cover a lot of ground like that for this thing to function the way it needs to?
I think to have a guy like that is never going to hurt. But I don't necessarily know, just from my experience and with a defense similar, you don't necessarily have to have that guy if everybody's on the same page and everybody understands their purpose and their responsibilities in certain things. That one guy can make some bits and pieces that aren't exactly perfect look incredible.
Yeah.
But I think you'll be able to, I think the defense as a whole, I mean, in my opinion, he ran stuff similar at Wofford and didn't have a Buda Baker type guy, and was obviously from the statistics that show at Wofford, he's very successful with it.
Yep.
So I think it can be done pretty well without it. It just got you. It comes down to knowing your personnel, and I think he understands what he's given them and what he has, and that he'll find that good mix of what he needs to make it effective.
Gotcha.
Is this kind of like a balance between being able to be more risky in some areas because you've got that caliber of a player versus trying to lean more to a more risk averse and sound
I feel like it is.
Standpoint? Okay.
I feel like it is. Now when you can find that kind of player, you can do some things that are maybe a little more unconventional and take a little bit more risk because you know you've got some athleticism there that can back you up and take you out of some spots. But I think just what I know about some of the players and things like that, I think he's got a good foundation to put some things together, and he's going to have people in the right spots to figure out what he needs to do with it.
Nice. Let's look to the offense real quick. What did you notice? I know you didn't spend as much time, but obviously you had colleagues that were spending time with Montgomery. But what did they notice about him, and just what were the feelings from them about how he ran his areas and how the players reacted and things like that?
They're, as a coach, I don't believe in putting another coach down. I think Bowen's had his positives, had his pluses and things that he did, but you could tell there was more of a optimism or confidence in the fact that Montgomery's coming in with experience. He's put together offenses top to bottom, showed success, things like that. And you could kind of feel that almost somewhat of a relief, not the uptightness of wondering, there's always going to be skepticism. Bowen came in without a lot of experience calling plays, setting up offense, running an offense. I don't feel like you felt that with Montgomery. They know that he has a track record. He has a reputation. He's been a head coach. He's run offenses. He's run teams. They have that confidence in what he's going to try to do. And I feel like it's probably going to be a little bit different than what we've seen the last couple of years. Again, it's early spring practice. It's, first contact scrimmage is what we saw. A lot's going to be different from there to the next week, much less the spring game and then to the fall. Yeah. But I feel like there's some good things there, and definitely some good change that should give some people some optimism. Not so much hype like we saw last year, but some optimism for the process is going well and going in the right direction.
So instead of last year we had a lot of momentum, and I know we talked about this a lot, Curtis and Robbie. I know we talked about it kind of off camera a little bit. Like there was a lot of hype. We kind of saw a upward trajectory in 23 at the end of the season. You had all these, decent run there at the end. And we're like, okay, we probably lost 2 earlier in the year. We shouldn't have. There's a whole lot of optimism. You had national media buying into it. You had the fan base that I probably, hyped it into oblivion. This time last year, we were having some very serious discussions about, can this team win, 10 games?
Yeah.
And things like that. And I think we don't necessarily have any of that hype in this team, but I think there's also, like you said, a kind of reserved confidence of, all right, well, if this goes the way it could go, we might be onto something. And that's not to say we're going to go out there and win 8-10 games. I don't think we're necessarily talking about wins or losses yet, but I think getting some new blood in those coordinator rooms, I think is going to be a little bit of a shot in the arm for some of these guys. And I think packing in, especially on offense, experience, not only, you looking at, flipping over the offensive line room, but also what you're doing in the coordinator room there.
Yeah.
It feels like you're taking some some of the correct steps you need to take to maximize the talent that's already on this offense.
Absolutely.
100%.
Like I was hyping the thing up after being there last year myself. Like I felt really good about what I saw at the beginning of it. I feel good about what I saw this year and things like that. But there's just a different luck plays a big part into that. I mean, you get injuries and stuff early on. You get things banged up. You get the right players banged up in the right spots, and that takes a turn real quick. Where who immediately gets the blame for it? Play calling and things like that. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't have a part in it, but some of your other factors too that a lot of teams they're not going to blame it on those things, but it plays a lot into it. And I think just the experience, all of those things that they have in place now, with a little bit of luck, I think you're going to see I'm not going to say, I'm not predicting any number of wins or anything, but I'm saying you're going to see a process unfold that should show some momentum, should show some growth. So I feel pretty confident in that part.
Gotcha. Real quick, so as you speak of the coordinators, obviously Stu Holt's now just a special teams coordinator and kind of helping out with the offense. Anything with him in the new setup? Like,
yeah, I talked to Coach Holt a little bit, and when I say Coach Holt, I mean Stu or his dad, because I've had a long running relationship there with his dad. Coached against him some when he was at Rocky Mount High School. I have to go to the field that's named after him here at Star Mount High School. So I deal a lot with the Holts. But the way things have kind of changed, the way they've kind of set up some things, I think it works out better for him to just be focused on his special team stuff. I'm sure he misses talking to his dad. He misses position coaching stuff. Any coach is going to want to coach as much as possible. But I feel like by looking at what we saw at practice and stuff, there was always something involved special team wise when other things were going on.
Changing structure then.
Yes.
Changing structure.
Yeah. So your practice structure is huge. And we've done some things like that. Like some teams will practice, offensive ones against scout in high school, offensive ones against scout, special teams in the middle, defensive ones against scout. That's how our 2.5, 3 hour practice is set up. We've had it to where, varsity's on offense, JV's on defense, and then we can split the JV up some at different times and do some special team stuff with them here, special team stuff with them there. And it looked to me like at practice the other day when I saw it, they're involving more things, like they're doing certain group packages at different places, while some other guys that would typically be, okay, we're going to go do individual stuff, they're doing a little more special team stuff.
Okay.
So he's not just running around with the specialists while these individual drills are going on. He's maybe pulling a line here, pulling a line there, and doing some of those special team drills.
There's not a corner full of kickers just standing around. Brian, you played college football. You know what those kickers do over there sometimes.
Oh yeah. There's some crab asses.
Right. There's guys that, they're still getting individual times and things like that, but there's times scheduled for them to be doing certain special teams things and stuff like that. So it was very much, and then they would have whole group special team stuff at times too. So
what you expect?
You won't see as much of that at spring game because it's more of a game type situation. But that's definitely something that I saw more at practice, where they're putting more emphasis on special teams to make sure those things are right.
Nice.
I didn't see any drills where they checked everybody's numbers
There we go.
That's ready to go.
Yeah, we still got some, opposite numbers here. So there's definitely potential for that to go down again. Let me flip back to the defense real quick because I know we were kind of curious about what the structure of Siefkes' role kind of in practice in the room, also kind of where Sean Quinn is kind of fitting in with some of the other coaches that have been brought on. What was that dynamic like? You can talk at a high level about it. I'm just trying to curious how that played out in a practice environment.
Why are there ridges on Reese's peanut butter cups? Probably so they never slip from her hands. Can you imagine? I'd lose it. Luckily, Reese's thought about that. Wonder what else they think about. Probably chocolate and peanut butter.
Brooks Running reminds us that we're all powered by something. Whether it's the me-time energy of a run after a day at the office, the electrifying energy of your first marathon, or the infectious energy of a group run with your friends. No matter what energy powers you, Brooks has gear specifically designed to unleash it. So lace up and let it out. Let's run there. Visit brooksrunning.com today to learn more.
I think it's kind of a fluid situation right now, to be honest. I know each one of them has their positions and they have certain specialties I think that they're working with for certain things. But I think there's some fluidity to learning the entire defense as a process.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of that helped. Oh, little cameo there by the wife.
Hey.
Hey, Nicole.
So I think part of that, I mean, their positions are defined and what they are, but I think they're still trying to find that identity of matching the personnel to some of the things that they want to do, some of the things that they move around, and just seeing how certain things fit. I spent time with obviously in the overall defensive scheme. I spent time listening to some linebacker stuff. I spent time listening to some inside linebacker stuff with Coach Debe, and then some safety stuff with Coach Prelude. And it's still, I think they're using the spring to sort some things out and figure out where their strengths are, what fits best for the personnel and things like that. And it'll be a little more defined when it comes to camp time. So it was kind of hard to say, but they're all very involved on teaching the basics of what they're looking for out of the defense.
Nice.
And they're all working together in making sure that each of their guys with their position group knows exactly where they fit in the overall scheme of things. And I think that's kind of where it is right now. And as camp goes on and things like that, I think they'll define it a little more. Yeah. They'll really figure out who's got to work with what and who's got to teach what and things of that nature. I know that probably doesn't give you a whole lot, but that's kind of where it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm just trying to there seems to be overlap with, Quinn's role as outside linebackers. You got Jerry Wilson's role with edges, and then you've got Whitehead with nickels. And I feel like those three at any given moment could really
be anywhere.
Touch the other one, right? So especially in this new scheme.
Well, you heard today, I don't know if you heard IBM, by the way, Isaiah Brown Murray, the ECU guy. He was talking about how it's fluid. Like he's working with Whitehead and he's in Jones, and a couple times he's been with Prelude. He said that aloud. And he said, because he's primarily nickel, but in some cases it makes more sense to him to go with the corners. In some cases it makes him to stay with the nickel guy. In some cases it makes sense to him to go with Prelude. So clearly that's happening in some way, shape, or form. All right, let me close this segment out before we get into all of the positions. You had multiple speakers, but two are high profile. I mean, high profile.
Yeah.
Bruce Arians, Super Bowl winning coach, and you had Daryl Tapp, the current coach of your Washington team. I ain't gonna say Commanders because they're always the Redskins. Did you get to interact with them any? Did you get to talk with them? Any one-on-ones, anything like that?
I didn't carry a conversation with Bruce Arians.
Okay.
He had more than enough people to carry conversations with as he was very popular. You know, I spoke to him. I shook his hand. I thanked him for just coming up to speak with all of us. He is as advertised, boys. He's got a little swagger to him. He's got a aura to him. You know, and his thing is he loves his players. He loves his teams. He cares about people, and he cares about doing things the right way. You know, loving the guys, treating people the right way, but doing things the right way. And part of him caring about his players and caring about his people is being willing to tell them when they're not doing things the right way. And that was a lot of what his speech and what he talked about was. His exact words was his job every year is to get 90 dudes and in 6 weeks fire half of them.
Yep.
He said, and to be honest with you, he goes, to have 90 folks and then 6 weeks later fire half of them and they still talk to you, he goes, you have to do it a certain way. And that kind of stuck. I don't get to fire none of mine, but you know, you treat people a certain way. And I didn't know it. Like one of the guy that introduced him had talked to us. One of the stories he told was about Coach Arians as a athlete at Virginia Tech. He was and I could mess this up a little bit. He was the first Virginia Tech athlete to have an African-American roommate.
I think that's right.
And
it was Tiki and Rondé's dad.
Rondé Barber's dad.
Yeah.
He said, we're gonna let it slide that he's a really good friend of mine, and those two boys went somewhere else. I thought that was pretty cool just to understand the concept of where he's coming from with the inclusion of things and stuff like that. So Bruce Arians was absolutely as advertised. I got to talk to Coach Tapp a little bit more. Coach Tapp and I have a mutual player that both of us have coached, and we got to talk a little bit about that. Contavious Street, he plays for the Atlanta Falcons now. He played for Coach Tapp when he was at San Francisco. And Coach Tapp had great things to say about Contavious. Contavious has always had great things to say about Coach Tapp. And Coach Daryl Tapp is such a down-to-earth, personable guy. Like, he took time out to have a conversation with me, to ask me how Contavious was doing, you know, things like that. Just to be able to interact with somebody like normal people that meet a player, a former player, an NFL coach, you know, somebody of that caliber. A lot of people immediately think, well, he's going to be kind of standoffish, and you know, he's at a different level. He's not that dude. Like, he would have stood there and talked to me for a while. His wife was at the clinic. She sat right beside me. Her and I talked before he presented. She sat there and listened to all the other coaches talk and was taking notes, because I guess she's coaching wherever they live. She does some coaching, and she was looking for anything that she could use in her coaching manners. So, I mean, they were awesome pair to meet, and we got to sit down and talk to them a little bit more. Coach Witecki and I, which is my head coach, we've been working together for a while. He coached Contavious too. Coach Tapp would joke with us and carry on. So it was pretty cool to have that kind of interaction with him. And they were both there when we got there that afternoon for the first day. They spoke. They did their things. They were there with everybody for dinner. They were back there the next day for practice and everything. Coach Arians and Coach Tapp and all of them were out there at practice talking to players, moving around. I mean, I've been to clinics where people speak and then they're immediately out the door and gone. But both of them have a little more buy-in to the thing, as they're both been part of this team for their,
all their lives.
Since the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I mean, Tapp is one of the.
He's one of our guys, dude.
Bill Carrier, man.
It was our guy. I mean, yeah, that's one of our. We always talk about it because we had the chance to interview him years ago. He's one of our guys. Like, our era, Daryl Tapp, Xavier Deeby, who got to obviously teach you some things and go over some things with you. Those two guys, it's unbelievable that you got to do that, and it's cool to hear the story of. And I'm assuming it's probably around Northern Virginia or DC where his wife is coaching whatever she's coaching.
Yeah.
So that's
pretty sure she said it was volleyball. Pretty sure she was coaching volleyball. Now she's been a personal trainer and run several different sports performance deals in the past. I know that from her background and where they talked about it. So, but that was cool. And then the other speaker that they had there was Coach Sherman, who is the head football coach at Ferrum now.
The old wide receiver coach.
Former wide receiver coach at Virginia Tech. I met him years ago when I was taking a couple of our kids from Halifax to Virginia Tech for recruiting. So to hear him talk about situational stuff, things like that, I have another kind of connection to him as our first quarterback from here at North Wilkes High School is quarterback at Ferrum. Now, He was a starting quarterback last year at Ferrum. So he's Coach Sherman's starting quarterback. He was our starting quarterback here. So it was good to hear him. And again, he has that Virginia Tech tie to it. And then the last guy that spoke on Saturday morning was the defensive coordinator for the University of Richmond, Justin Wood, and he gave a phenomenal presentation on inside linebackers that I'm really trying to use a lot of the things that he taught to help give my linebackers some good basic knowledge and things. So, I mean, all in all, the whole thing was for me very successful. I probably got more out of this clinic than I've gotten out of one in years.
Okay.
In those things. So
that's great.
That is awesome, man.
I know you talk about Tapp, and like every time we've interacted with Tapp, he's like simultaneously the most laid back guy, but like also so energetic.
Yes, you can tell he's got a passion about him.
Yeah.
And,
super passionate about it.
Was Arians rocking the Kangol?
Yes, absolutely. Personally, it had what did it say? Virginia Tech class of 1974 quarterback. And then on the other side, it said it had like the Kangol with a headset on it, like for a coaching thing, and it had some other things on it. It was awesome. I mean, he was decked out, dude. He had completely personalized either Jordans or Air Force Ones or Dunks. They were orange and maroon and white. Had Hokies, and on the back they had BA on them. They were awesome. Everybody was rocking.
He was ready. He came prepared. He knew the assignment.
He knew the assignment. Absolutely. All righty. Well, boys, let's turn it up here. Robbie, thanks for that little insight. And in the past, you've given us more, but I think with what has been said behind closed doors and everything, not as much insight as previous, but I think we're seeing that now.
With respect to their staff and allowing us to come and see those things, I saw some things that I think would be great to talk about, but they're going to be talked about in time.
Gotcha.
They want to keep things close and really teach things and let it be. You're going to see some stuff this week, the spring game.
Yeah.
You're going to see some stuff more as camp goes on and things like that. It's just inevitable. But I think it's going to be seeing what he's done in the past with the Cardinals, seeing what he's done in the past at Wofford, and kind of my thoughts of putting some of those things together. I think it's going to be good, especially with some of the things that I saw the other day. And it's definitely going to be a difference in what you're used to seeing, but in a good way. I think it'll be good to have some change, to see some different things, and especially the way it's going to be taught and built and have a good foundation behind it.
Yeah, I mean, this is really kind of the first wholesale defensive scheme change since Bud kind of, changed his philosophy kind of midstream there in the late 90s.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just say 92.
Yeah.
Before, what was it? The guy from Rutgers got hired. And basically said 92 when we were like, yeah, we were.
Oh.
Not 82, 92. All right, but let's flip. Let's get to the spring game preview. Let's start talking about some of these positions, what we're expecting to see. Brian will be there. Robbie, are you driving back down, or are you staying home next Saturday? This Saturday.
I'll be doing some family things on Saturday.
No worries, man.
But I don't guess this one will be televised, will it?
Not live. I think
they're going to show highlights and clips. It's not going to be a full broadcast like it was last time.
So Brian can't get too drunk,
and it's still going to be tape delayed.
He's got to pay attention. But let's talk about quarterback room. It's really funny on the cruise. Wednesday night, after we had both had very good nights at this. Tuesday night. What night was it? We sat down at the midnight breakfast or midnight buffet we were eating after good nights of gambling, and we said, you know what?
After midnight breakfast?
Oh, dude, they had a baked Alaska one night for dinner.
They did.
Take me right back to those 7 college years.
I
had a lot of baked Alaska in 7 years.
But the funny thing is, me and Brian, we're sitting there. Brian, we're scarfing down pizza and hot dogs. We're eating terrible, but it was a good night. And I said, well, Brian, we don't really need to talk about the quarterbacks. What do we need to talk about? Well, until we get back and literally Kyron Drones is out. So now we must talk about the quarterbacks. And I want to ask this to both of y'all. Pop's going to get his chance with the ones, get his chance in the new system. Do y'all think it's any possibility of a Wally Pipp situation, Brian Siegler?
If it is, we're going to call it a Wally Pop, right?
Ooh!
Anyway. Jokes aside, dad jokes for days, man. Let me keep them out of here right now. I don't think so. I think mainly because I don't think that what we're looking at is Kyron going to be out for a significant amount of time. If you talked about this carrying over into the fall, there's some question marks there whether that would be the situation, because a lot of times if you start the season, you ride the hot hand, you could get into that situation, right? But I don't think this is going to carry over into the fall, so I don't think we're ever going to really get into that type of situation, unless something, God forbid, goes wrong with the recovery process, right?
Yeah.
So that's really my only concern. But by all accounts, this isn't going to carry into. It may not even carry in much into summer workouts, let alone all the way into fall camp.
I kind of feel like we saw Drones do some things when we were there. He participated in practices and stuff when we were there. I think more of this is I talked earlier about the luck and all of that. He had some of the worst luck of all of them. They were talking about some of the injuries and stuff he dealt with last year and all that. I think a lot of this is we got some good work in. We got you to understand the base of a lot of things that's going on. Now we need you to maintain
health,
what you've learned, and mentally get that stuff in, take care of your body, and be ready to go when we need you in camp. And I think that's had a lot to do with it, in my opinion. He's probably got a few things he may still need to clean up or get checked out and get cleared with and everything, from last season. But I think this is just a kind of we do it as high school coaches. You get your older guys, you really want to get your older guys in the beginning to get their knowledge, get their base, get their work in, and then give the younger guys an opportunity to show what they can do to kind of step in and do things. And I think it's a very similar situation here. It's not taking any risks, not taking chances of him, getting hurt. He's got a couple of years on him. You want to, to maintain as much tread as you can.
Yep.
And see what else you got behind it, because you never know what luck's going to bring like he did last year.
Yeah. I'm with LeVar here. Just get him healthy. I think what this does, if anything, it solidifies Pop's role as the backup. And he showed last year he could be put in situations and they could have chances in games. And I know everybody will and that's what you want.
He's a good viable option.
Exactly. If something happens weird, like he needs to literally sit a week like he should have at Clemson last year.
Yeah. You play get more work with him there. And then they've got 2 young guys or 3 young guys really that they really need to get. Who do you like out of those 3? Who can gain the most? Because now it's basically you got Pop's probably going to play maybe a quarter Saturday with the ones. Then it's the next 3 young guys. Who's got the most to gain? Or who do you like the most out of those 3? I know. A little bias to
there's a good amount of bias on everyone in this this camera shot here.
But I mean, physically, watching him do some things there the other day, he looks good.
Who's that?
I knew he can play. I've known his dad for years.
You're talking about AJ.
This is AJ Brand, everybody.
I've watched the kid play since he was a young kid. I've seen him play different things, basketball, football. I mean, he's an athlete. And I definitely think it's a whole new process coming from high school into college. The fact that he's already there helps him.
Yeah.
He get the system that he learned through high school is going to help him.
Yep.
And I think you're going to see some flashes of good things. Physically, I mean, he's well built. Like standing beside drones at different times, you take the jersey numbers off of them and put their helmets on.
Wasn't a whole lot of difference.
It's kind of hard to see a difference in them, but so much. Physically, they're very, very similar.
I feel like when we look at them, like Brand's very much in the drones mold, and talking about another one, Keldon Ryan very much looks like a taller, slightly heavier Pop Watson as far as the way he plays.
Yeah. And even the Belfort kid moves around and does some things I feel very similar to what Watson did when he first got to Tech too.
Yeah.
He is definitely not the large physical specimen that Brand and Drones are. He's on the smaller side, but I mean he's shifty quick.
Yeah.
But don't let the smaller fool you, because with the strength and conditioning program, it'll get them up. I mean,
oh yeah.
Pop says he's at 205 now, and he says he's gained like 6 pounds since Ferg took over.
It shows.
That interview. He's thick.
He's thick.
He is now. He's 5'11". He's 205. He is thick. Brian, me and you have said for the last 3 years, what's the one worry about Pop? He ain't gonna be able to just take punishment after punishment. I don't feel that way anymore. I don't feel that way anymore.
He was noticeably bigger from last year.
Who'd you see as far as the throwing? Like who was slinging it the most out of those younger guys?
All of them got good opportunities to throw balls and to throw, but from what I can remember, they didn't throw anything really deep.
Okay.
They did a lot of one-on-one type stuff, and goal line one-on-ones, red zone type one-on-ones, stuff like that with quarterbacks. They were doing a lot of short yardage type stuff, quick game type stuff. But I feel like all of them were pretty accurate. Belfort had to move a little bit more simply because he had to find windows to kind of throw through.
Watson has the arm strength and the mechanics to kind of get the ball where he needs to without having to move around too much, where the other two or three kind of have a little bit more size.
Yeah.
That they don't have to move, but they can. And it's going to be interesting to see just how they break up the number of reps and things at this spring game to just kind of, everybody's going to be looking at, Drones isn't going to play. How many is Pop going to get with the ones? Because obviously he's your first guy to go with the ones.
Yep.
And if anybody else gets any kind of reps with the ones, which one's it going to be of those three?
It's going to be interesting to see that.
Which one of those three is trotting out there opposite of Pop with the twos that they obviously see as the next guy there? There's always going to be some speculation. And one may come out there with that group, and then we find out later that they felt a lot better about the other one.
Yeah.
That
always happens. I think the interesting piece.
It'll tell you some things depending on who gets more reps where.
I think the interesting piece, if you look at all three of those guys, the freshmen, and I know Davi's been here a year, but if you look at their high school, senior in high school, they all threw at 2,500 yards, all threw well above 25 plus touchdowns, all threw well below, low interception numbers.
Yeah.
So to me, that has been the evolution of just the high school to college quarterbacks nowadays. Is years ago, if a guy got 10 attempts a game, could be a good pass, but that was it because of what the offensive were. We're changed now where all these guys got over 200 plus attempts, over 2,500 yards, over 25 touchdowns, passes, which just shows you the change in the game, which is obviously why you've got guys who can be sophomores take over the reins of a college program and run it for 2 to 3 years because the passing has evolutionized. All right, let's flip to the big one because this is the one that I think is going to hinge. I think it hinges Brent Pry's future at Virginia Tech. That's the offensive line. Obviously, Matt Moore's in, and I think straight up, Brian, we've said it. Thomas Rimac, for all discussion point, he's locked. He is playing somewhere on the offensive line. Don't know where yet, but we know where he's playing. Brian, say what?
Right?
Huh?
He's 55, right? One of the transfers from
West Virginia.
West Virginia, 55. That is him. 6'6", 317. All right, but let me pivot to you, Brian, on this. Of the two other transfers, Lucas Austin, Kyle Utner, who do you like? You're sitting here saying, I got to see something from him Saturday, or my confidence is going to potentially go down on the offensive line. Which of those two?
Altuner, just because he's playing the more important position, he's probably going to be the guy that's going to have to be one of the starters in this group, in my opinion. I think, you're looking at him probably at center. And if it's not center, he's probably going to be playing one of the guard spots there. So he's the guy that you're going to need to see something from pretty early, I think, in this game, to start having some confidence about this offensive line turning the table. Because I think we feel good about what Rimac can do, whether it's right or left, in the tackle slot there. It looks like he is going to be slotted in at one of the tackle spots. Whether he's on the left, it's either going to be him or Johnny on one side or the other. So I think Altuner is definitely the guy that, if you're going to see the rest of that line kind of flesh out, he's the guy that you got to feel confident about him, especially at that center position.
Well, Altuner's another one from West Virginia.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, he's got experience playing all three of the interior positions, right? Both guards and center.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's, to me, as a coach, that's huge to have a guy that can play multiple positions like that. It is awesome.
And especially as young as he is. I mean, just a redshirt freshman, but he had some, he saw some action, last year and was pretty successful in kind of limited action there. And, definitely a guy that I think Matt Moore thought a whole lot of Before he got injured last year.
100%. All right. What about the current guys? Let's take the transfers out. What guys
that they have returning that played some significant time?
All right. So significant time last year, you have the following. And I'll pivot to Ganam, Bob Schick, Brody Meadows, Johnny Garrett are the four that had significant snaps. Montavious Cunningham had some snaps, not as many. So you have 5 guys with significant experience. Which one of those guys to you, Robbie, you feel like that guy's got to pop Saturday? That guy, I want to see something. So again, it starts alleviating like it ain't gonna be like it was at times last year.
Like Brian was talking about before, you've got an alternator coming in. He's got to fill one of those 3 spots.
Yeah. Then
you've got a guy that played a lot in Schick, who could step into the guard spot that could help. I mean, he's got game experience. Yeah. How fast he picks up what they're doing, I think could fit in there. I think by the end of last year, they had Cunningham playing some guard stuff. He would have now experience at guard and tackle, which makes him a little more valuable in a lot of things. And then was it Meadows and
Garrett and Ganam.
He's going to have to take that other tackle spot if we think Reback is one of the tackles. So I mean, I would say Meadows and Garrett and Cunningham and Schick have to fill in the remaining guard and tackle spot there somewhere. And if Altiner goes to center, then you may be needing 2 guards there. So I mean, I think it's a decent crowd to be able to kind of work with and put things in. I know in the bowl game and towards the end of last year, what was it got Nida?
Yeah,
Caleb Nida.
He got a good bit of playing time towards the end and things like that. I think he's back. I mean, they've got some options there of guys that have some experience in multiple positions, which, as Brian and I both know, is huge on the offensive line. If you got a guy that you know can play multiple positions, it makes you feel a lot better about things.
Yeah, I mean, you feel like you can offensive line. You're at some point you're going to have 1 or 2 injuries pop up throughout the year where you're going to have to lean on 1 or 2 guys. And if you've got guys that can play multiple positions, you can keep your best 5 out there remaining without having to shuffle too much. Whether that's having a front line guy slide from a guard to a tackle, or whether that's a guy that's playing a reserve role that can plug in at guard or tackle, depending on who goes down. And really, center being the biggest wild card there, because you generally are only going to have 2 to 3 guys on your roster that you feel really comfortable with snapping the football, and so that's usually where you're going to be the tightest.
Another thing to look at, which we really haven't had a lot to talk about in the last couple of years with offensive line, is there's a young guy or 2 there that have come in, recruit wise, that I think just by seeing him, I would say walking by me, but kind of towering over and eclipsing everything that he walked by when he walked by me. The Stoddard kid is a large piece of human being.
That's a big boy.
That is a big boy.
Yeah. And, development, I think, obviously, as we've seen with the guys that came over from West Virginia, they're younger players that have already developed into something that we like and that we think can play. I feel good about how Moore can develop younger guys that are there and be able to recruit some guys that he can develop into well-rounded players for his system. So we got that too. I'm excited about, because doggone it, that boy was big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, y'all mentioned all the names and who we're going to see and whatnot. What I just want to see is I want the interior to be good. because I think there's been too many years it feels like the last 15 years where 3rd and 2, there was a struggle to get 2 yards. I want the best interior. And if it's Altoona at center, I kind of sit here and hope because you see the way Brody Meadows plays. He plays all out. He goes through the whistle. He drives guys away. And I'm hoping he and Cunningham can win those 2 spots because I feel like looking at them that they are the most physical presence on the inside.
Yeah.
And I think that would help those short yardage that it feels like we just could not gain unless it's like Kyron Drones or Logan Thomas. 3rd and 2, guys, just stick your head in there and just run straight ahead because that's all we got. We don't have any concepts to actually block and get positive yards on short yardage plays.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see if Gannon takes a step this year because, I mean, he started last year, was injured pretty early and didn't really get a chance to kind of really show what he could do. The fact that he kind of was a new face on the line, kind of won that spot, kept Schick off the field for a little bit there. That tells you that they showed a little bit of confidence in him last year. I'm hoping that carries over and he gets healthy and takes some big steps this year.
It's true.
And
he
looking
was
at
a West Virginia kid that Matt Moore did try to get.
Yeah, so
he did try to get him.
I think he's a guy that would be, in a good line there. And then, center, like I've already talked about Altoona, but, Robbie, you brought up Nitta, and then we also have Tommy Ricard in there that, could be fighting for that spot there. So we got 3 guys that, you don't necessarily feel good about. You got one guy that you're hoping is going to be the truth, and you got a couple other guys you're like, all right, if they can develop a little bit, maybe those guys could be in the mix as well.
It'll be another one of those situations, just like we talked about at quarterback. It's just seeing who that first group is and how they work together, and then seeing what their thought process is of who comes in next or who goes in with that second group. And just, trying to piece it together and see, do they have a group that they take out with the ones to protect what they know they have to, and then they have a group with the 2s? Or do they have a group that they go out first, and then they start pulling one guy and putting another guy in to see how that group works together? Just his thought process on that will give you, in my mind, more of an idea of, okay, these are the guys and these are the guys he's developing and that we can use. Or if, hey, we're going to find the best 5. It might be taking this guy out, putting this guy in, or moving this guy over here and putting one in here, that kind of thing. I think that's going to be a telling story of what you're seeing too.
Yeah, Robbie, and from experience, man, there's the best 5 talent, and then there's the best 5 as a unit. And those are 2 different things sometimes.
Always is. All right, let's flip over. Let's go to the outside and to the other two of the skill positions. Brian, skill position wise, wide receiver, tight ends. Who are you focused on the most? Like, you're going to be sitting in lane, and obviously you're going to look at quarterback, but I know Brian, he'll watch quarterback, he'll focus line, then he'll look on the outside. So when you're focusing on the outside, who are you focusing on?
We just talked about receiver group in general. I'm looking at Cam
receiver,
Seldon.
tight end, receivers.
Yeah, I'm looking at Cam Seldon. I want to see that running back in a wide receiver frame. Hopefully channeling as much Jalen Lane as we can, so we can keep that train moving. That's the type of slot receiver that I like, is basically a running back that is lining up wide. A guy that has those running back instincts that when they get the ball in their hands, they have that mentality. They're going to run by you or run over you, and sometimes in equal measure.
What about you, Robbie? What are you focusing on with that group?
Physically, from being there, watching practice and things, physically, Seldon, which it was number 9.
Yeah.
Physically, he has a presence.
Okay.
It kind of, thinking back a few years, I go back to a game against South Carolina, and a gentleman who, I'm sorry, Curtis, but is now a commander.
Best for all parties.
Debo Samuel
Yeah.
He kind of gives me that vibe a little bit. Okay, I'm going to make a move. If you bite on the move, I'm going to get yards after the catch. If you don't bite on the move and stand my ground, I'm going to get yards after the catch. Do you want to take this shot or not? That's up to you. I feel like watching him physically, that's the kind of player he's going to be, which I'm in love with. He's definitely one to see. After the bowl game, and then watching him run at things at practice the other day, Aiden Green, if he gets space and gets an area where he can break out, it ain't many of them catching him, bud.
It's not a lot. I'm gonna flip it on y'all.
Individuals before that boy's quick.
He is. I'm gonna flip it on y'all. Where I'm most interested, and I'm gonna be focused on with the highlights, and probably talk to Brian about it. I want to see what they do with the tight ends, especially Benji Gosnell. Benji Gosnell was the second leading receiver on this team last year. If you look at Philip Montgomery's history, the most I saw was with Baylor under the Robert Griffin back when he won the Heisman. They had a guy at 20 and a guy at 15. That's not a lot. Now, today, Brent Davis comes out and says they're really focused on being physical, getting the blocking concepts down. That's what I'm paying attention to, because you go back to what they recruited at Baylor. They never had that. They never had someone like Benji who could catch the ball, who did have some physicality. Does he shift it in a way where it says, well, I've got one of these guys now? Does he shift it and say, I want him to block good, but I've got now an extra potential weapon on the end line? Because we know Benji can go in line. He can go, I'm not going to say he's going to be in the backfield but he can do a variety of things.
He'll be in the backfield some.
He can be, but
he will be.
Okay. Write it down per Brian Siegler. All right.
My thought is, I think Gosnell could be a very integral part in what they try to do with the run game, and not as a back carrying things. He had some experience before, and in that H-back type role, that what some people call a yo technique, that offset tight end, inside between the guard and tackle sniffer, your kick out blocker, your split zone player.
Split zone, yep.
He has experience doing that. The coach that he played for his senior year in high school before he hurt his knee, he played some stuff like that. He knows that position. It's about him buying in to, hey, understanding you can be exceptional for us by maybe catching 15 balls in certain things and being this monster that we have, doing this kick out, running this power, doing these things, and may not be the 40 or 50 catch Gronkowski, Kelsey type of thing. We know he can do that. We know he can be that guy, but will he buy into, maybe I can do that later? As long as I can show I can do this, it makes myself even more versatile going out.
Yeah, and he's shown that what he can do. So, I mean, I think if he can develop his toolkit where he can show he's both. He's he's that true, well-rounded tight end that you can count on to block in the running game, but you can also line up in the slot and have a mismatch and be able to take advantage of that.
Absolutely. As a coach, when you see a kid out there working his butt off, doing the things you asked him to do, and he's bought into doing the things that we've asked him to make this team better, a coach starts to get to, you know what? I need to give him something for the work that he's done.
Yep.
And maybe that's where it goes from 15 or 20 catches to 30. Yeah. Because he's shown his willingness to do everything else the right way. Like Bruce Arians talked about, you have to reward the people that are doing things the right way. You have to show them that you care about that stuff.
Gotcha.
And that's how he earned some of that stuff.
Yep.
Let me ask both y'all this, because the one thing is with the Montgomery and Brian and y'all, we talked about it earlier about, the concepts and what you're going to see, and people have been searching Montgomery's offenses all the time. Do you pay attention to route concepts at a game like this, or is it's too vanilla? They're going to be doing a lot of basic stuff, or is it pay attention so, you see who's running, because the one thing he likes to run flats. He likes to run drags. He likes to run stuff. Who's running those routes? Is it worth paying attention to, or is it don't buy too much into it?
Personally, I would say you look at the routes more than
the players
people running the routes.
Got you.
And the fact that you're going to the game, you simplify the game to the point where you have a route tree. There's certain routes that every team's going to run. They're going to run the verticals. They're going to run the slants. They're going to run the posts. Or they're going to run, the digs, the ins, the outs. Those kind of – it's in every route tree, no matter whether you go from Pee Wee football to the NFL. And it's how they use those things in spacing and what they're doing with certain things, in my opinion.
Yeah. It really, in looking at it in a micro level, what are the combinations of the routes, not necessarily what's in the tree. And I mean, looking at that, like I think also you can look at and pay attention to maybe what you don't see. And I know, Robbie, we talked about this a little bit too. Like, I don't think we're going to see as much behind the line of scrimmage stuff. So I think that's something to look for and pay attention and make sure that you don't see that, because I don't think you're going to see as much of that in this offense as we saw in the Tyler Bowen offense.
Yeah. This style of offense plays into, it's always going to have a check down. It's going to be closer to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. You're
going to have some screen game stuff, but it's not going to be, I don't feel like you're going to, personal opinion, knowing the offense as it is, you're not going to see as many of the pop screens to the single receiver and saying, hey, you got a one-on-one matchup, beat him, on the move and get 4 or 5 yards. I feel like this offense pushes more to get to 4 or 5 yards and catch the ball and then see what you can get afterwards. I think that's the basis of this offense more. It is for us. Our style of offense is very similar to what Montgomery runs or has run in the past. And I feel like we throw a lot of what we look at as quick game. We want to get routes in the 5 to 7 yard range. And then everything you get after that is a plus. But we're going to get that.
You're setting yourself up for success. Because if you get 5 and it's 2nd and 5, you can do anything on the field you want, and it's still not if you don't hit on 2nd down, 3rds is still not that far away.
Yeah,
let's go to run it.
Let me say something real quick. We talked about Benji's catch numbers with Bowen compared to what we might see with Montgomery. I will say this: a lot of the catches that Benji flagged last year, and just any tight end in that Tyler Bowen system, so many of those were those behind the line of scrimmage catches, those at the line of scrimmage catches. I think when you do have the tight end involved in the passing game, they're going to be more effective routes for the tight end, meaning that it's not going to be having to rely on motion to kind of get some separation, those quick catches, and having to let them turn up and hopefully break a tackle to kind of get some action in the passing game. It's going to be a little bit more deliberate with how they use them in the passing game.
Gotcha. All right, go to running back room. Stewart's not here. We've been told guys are banged up. I mean, PJ Prelude not playing. Coney was hurt. Tyler Mason, Overton's hurt. I mean, do we just take grain of salt with that room?
I feel like it's going to be interesting to see. And I would tell you to watch this group of running backs that's going to get an opportunity to play.
Okay.
Because they've got something. Because, in my opinion, you lost the running back room.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah.
When you lose Tootin and you lose Thomas, you had other guys that filled in, but each one of them filled in their own way. Coney, Prelude, Mason, who played more in the bowl game than I really expected to see. But then you add the Stewart, and you add the Hawkins kid from, was it in Oklahoma? Somewhere out in Oklahoma.
He's from Oklahoma. I think it's Missouri. It's some D2 in Missouri.
Yeah.
Look, he impressed me a little bit at practice. The pad level and the way he runs the ball, like he's a physical, like he runs like he hates the ground he's running on. Like, I mean, he runs hard and physical. And I think that's interesting to see. Mason showed us that he can do some things in that spring game. I mean, in that bowl game. Coming into the spring game, he looks to be bigger. He looks to be more physical. And it'll be interesting to think about how when Tootin went out last year, it was Malachi Thomas, and then we got to hope some other guys can take a couple carries and help us. To now, it seems almost like I feel like there could be 5 or 6 at some point that you could say, hey, we can put in and give 5 or 10 carries to and be good.
So we could be going from the lead back to having a running back by committee.
Yes.
But
I think it's very good committee.
Yeah, I think you're still going to see when he gets here, Stewart kind of being the lead back, but then I think there's going to be that 2A, 2B, probably 2C behind him.
I think you got a crowd there that are gonna have a little bit to say about, hey, if he thinks he's gonna come in and be the lead back, we want a little input on this thing.
There we go.
And they're gonna show it.
That's gonna make him better too. That's gonna make the whole team better. So
100%.
I feel good about that. And there are a lot of question marks of just how that's going to work, but I'm optimistic with what I've seen and what's there.
All right. Let's flip over. Let's talk a little bit on the defense, and let's obviously start with the safety room. I mean, it feels loaded between the guys who were here last year, the transfers that came in, understanding Siefkes' system being 3 high. But is there anybody, Brian, I'm going to start with you. Is there anybody to you that has to pass your eye test on Saturday?
Anybody that's got to pass the eye test. I'm interested to see what Tyson Flowers looks like.
Okay.
Because I think he's the guy that was the most inconsistent in the tape that I looked at. But when he looked good, he looked real good, but he was very inconsistent. If he's a guy that can come in and show that, he's probably leveled some of that out a little bit, I think that'll go a long way. Just because we got a handful of guys, between Cash coming in, you got obviously Reddish kind of being the, as weird as it sounds, elder statesman in the room from an experience standpoint. With this team. Yeah, with this team. It's going to be interesting to see how these new guys work in there. But Tyson Flowers, to me, just because I saw some inconsistencies, and if he can iron some of that out, that would be huge for this room. I think Isaiah Cash is going to be a player. How much and how we deploy him is going to be what I want to see just within Siefkes' overall system.
And I keep looking back at my roster card thing.
Man, you need to give us that. That'll help me on Saturdays.
I try to figure out the number, because for me out there, I was seeing numbers, and numbers were what clicked to me. So I'm trying to figure out who's who.
But while you figure it, I'm going to tell you, for me, I want to see how Quentin Reddish does in this system. He showed so much as a true freshman last year, putting into a role, being put in when Lil Stroman got hurt. He was forced to play. He was not supposed to play last year, and he looked good at times. He laid licks. I want to see how a system that is designed to be to make safeties the stars, because to me that's what it does, right? We keep saying Buda Baker. We keep seeing other things where it's like the safeties are really high level of this. How can a kid who played like that now get put into a system? Where is he lining up? Yeah. Because we know it could be three highs. Is he still playing as strong? Is there another position that, I would say like a Rover, but a lot of people consider Rover strong. But to me, Rover was always that movable piece in the chess game, right? It can kind of go anywhere and do different things. Is he playing that, or is he back at free? That's who I'm interested in. What about you, Rob?
I mean, it'll be like, I know with their system, and I play a system that's somewhat similar to this. We run more of a 3-3, 3-4 kind of hybrid look. There's times where we can look like we have three safeties. There's time. And technically, that 3-3, 3-4 hybrid system is considered one of the three safety defenses.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times that I line up on the field and you have to know what you're looking at to see three safeties. I mean, that's just the way we do it. And my thought with kind of looking at the way they have things laid out, where you have safeties, you have nickels, you have edges, you have, outside linebacker, those kinds of, the way they've kind of named things, I feel like you're going to see something very similar to what I'm thinking that we do. And that sometimes, okay, you may see three safeties or you may see two safeties and a nickel, but is that nickel a linebacker? Is that nickel a safety? Is that nickel a extra corner? Is it, that's kind of an NFL type deal.
Yep.
And knowing that he comes from an NFL background last year, I feel like that kind of thing is a possibility. So conventionally saying that these guys are safeties, it's possible to see one of them at the time. I think it could be possible to see three of them. It goes back to that. How does your personnel match up against things that you're going to see? And it might be fluid week to week, depending on what it is.
Gotcha.
So it's just, I definitely feel good about the safety group that's there with Reddish and Cash. I feel like
you said you saw Ellis out there some too, right? Number 4.
Yeah. Ellis.
What about Sherrod Koval? Did you see Ellis, a lot of Sherrod out there?
Tyson Flowers, 17.
Yep.
What about 7? Did you see Koval, who came from Clemson?
I did not see him, but that's not to say that he wasn't there. I didn't, for some reason, something didn't focus in on that. I feel like, okay, I was about to say, I remember seeing number 3, which is Caleb Spencer, but he was a safety before. Am I right?
Safety before, linebacker now.
Yeah, he was playing star a lot last year.
Yeah, played outside a lot last year. So hold your thoughts on him.
And that's the thing. Like with the way we run things, I know you could get some confusion to say, hey, that kid's played safety. He's a safety, but they say he's a linebacker. I think some things are gonna kind of mix in there, so it's hard to say. But
gotcha.
The Johnson kid's still there too, right?
Braylon, yep.
Howard Springs.
Yep, he's still there as well. Just a sophomore. All right. I'm going to flip it to the defensive side of the room with your doppelganger over there in J.C. Price. Ton of production loss. I know you always talk to him. But this room lost a ton of production, inside and out. You know, APR likely going to be first 4-round pick. People's picking up steam to maybe get to the 4th round. What concerns – I can't remember who I pitched to first last time. I pitched to Robbie this time. What concerns you more, inside or outside? Or because it's changing, it doesn't – we don't know yet?
I think that position has the biggest question marks to me, just because I don't know what their plan is. I think they have guys there that can be very successful in many different ways. Okay. Laws and Copeland and Priester, Burgos, to us, those guys are the defensive line group that we're used to. But this system could be a little different in how they interchange some of those guys. And that's going to be cool to see kind of how they move things around, what they ask them to do, as a guy that runs a lot of 3-man front on the defensive front. You always have to go to the question of, are we asking these guys to 2-gap, or are we asking these guys to play a gap and the linebacker fill, behind it, things like that. So being able to see how they position guys up front, whether it's Gilliam or Laws or Copeland or Burgos and all of those different pieces, how they kind of move things around and what they ask those guys to do. I think once they get that set, and we may see a lot more of that just from the spring game Saturday of what more of their plan is, I'd feel more comfortable in saying, okay, now I feel good about this group of guys. But it's just, I know there's dudes there. It's just, what are they asking them to do? And I have 100% faith in the fact that whatever they ask them to do, that J.C. Price is going to get the best out of them that he can get, and that they're going to produce. So that's kind of where I stand with that. We can name all the guys off all day. What are they going to ask them to do, and how are they going to step into those roles, I think, is the biggest thing.
Brian?
Yeah, I kind of have a similar take on this. I feel like between what we did in the portal, what we kind of already had coming back, I feel good about the guys we have. I'm interested to see how they're going to be deployed and what they're going to be asked to do, and if those things are going to meld with their skill set. And I mean, it sounds like Siefkes' whole deal is deploying the personnel that he has in the best way possible to get the most out of them. So I'm confident from that standpoint, at least, from what I've heard so far. But, anytime you're shifting philosophies on defense, there's always going to be a little bit of growing pain there. And to Robbie's point, I think figuring out where the guys fit within what Siefkes wants to do, Siefkes kind of getting an understanding of what these guys do best and how he can best deploy them. That's going to be the big thing, because, to Robbie's point, I think JC is going to get these guys. He's going to get these guys where they need to be. I think they just need to figure out, who fits best where, and what the best rotation is going to be in terms of guys getting matched with first line, second line, things like that. Because I think there's going to be, obviously throughout a game, you're going to have a guy or two kind of rotate in or out, but it's really good if you can kind of have that first line that works the best together and kind of that second line that are very complementary from a skill set standpoint as much as you can, looking at the front.
And I tell you, today I listened to the Jonkum interview. By the way, if y'all have not seen that interview, go listen to it. We're gonna try everything we can.
Yeah, we gotta get him on here. We gotta get him on here.
Holy shit, that kid's a charismatic, well-spoken kid that feels like he talk about anything. But how he talked about going to the defensive room and how he praised JC. He's like, Coach Price telling me exactly what to do, how to do it, and then I do it, and it's so easy. to Robbie's point, I think JC's going to get the room right. It's just finding the right combos, what works right. Because, we talk, the thing about Siefkes, it's the alignments. We've seen him do everything in different places. We saw the videos, 2 DTs. It looked like a 1-tech, a 3-tech, 2 guys standing up at the ends. Are we going to see more than that Saturday? Are we going to see 3 linemen? Are we going to see 1 down lineman, over at a 0 technique, someone at a 4? Like, I'm interested to see that Saturday because I want to see it where he's leveraging guys like Gerard Johnson, who's 6'3", 280, and like Handchuck to play the 4-eye techniques. And then he's putting ends on the outside of their shoulders to say, okay, how are you going to defend this? These guys are quick twitch guys that are going to get inside your guards, but I'm going to be sending 2 edges too. What are you going to do about it?
I think a lot of that comes from his experience with NFL guys. I think there's going to be packages of certain things depending on what he's going to scheme up some things. Okay, this offense wants to do this and take advantage of this, but we can take advantage of what they're trying to do right here. You may see smaller groups of D linemen to really put rush press on from like a 3 technique inside rather than it all being edge pressure.
Yep.
You may have Laws and Priester and Gilliam in together up front, just filling holes. There's so many options with the groups of people that they have. And just right there talking about Junkum being in the room with J.C. Price and all that. If I'm not mistaken, didn't he come from – he's transfer in. Wasn't he an inside backer?
Inside linebacker.
He's an inside linebacker.
Yeah, and we're here talking about him being in the room with J.C. Price.
Crazy.
Yep.
So, I mean –
it's going to be interesting to see how they deploy these guys because, I mean, you got so many different opportunities that you can do, and talk about from a front standpoint and being multiple. I'm interested if we how many non-nickel package fronts we see in the spring game, or whether it's going to be, if it's not nickel, it's going to be just a base kind of 2-4-5 look, which is what we expect, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
At this point, you're right.
I know for us, when we go to our nickel packages more, for us, when you go to a nickel package, the stand-up outside backer or whatever, kind of becomes kind of attached to our 3 front line. So it almost makes it a 4 front line. But, I mean, is that something they'll do with the nickel, or does an inside backer come out for them as a nickel? And do they play the nickel as that 3rd safety in the 3 safety type system, or is he another corner? It all depends on. I think a lot of it all depend on matchup stuff and what he decides. Where he wants to pull things from. It's back to that pro style of deal there.
Gotcha. Well, you talked about backers there. Obviously, I think everybody feels really good about Caleb Woodson, how his development last year, how he came on, how good he played at the end of the season. So you feel like he's going to be on the field at all times. He may never come off the field. He may never come off the field, the honest to God truth. But, that the other pieces of that room, we all felt good. We saw some development with Gabe Williams. He has that injury, all the unfortunate stuff that happened after that. And then they moved Caleb Spencer over. And we still got Keller there. Is this the Keller breakout year where he finally becomes –
Don't say it, Curtis. Blasphemy.
Well, I mean, he did lead the team in tackles last year. Believe it or not, he led the team in tackles with 83.
It's going to be one of those things that's kind of, like you said, it gets kind of it gets kind of fluid in that situation too. We all feel like Caleb Woodson's going to be on the field
all the time. Doesn't matter.
He stepped up. He's proven that he could play in there and do that. But we know he's got the athletic ability and everything to help coverage-wise. He's a good interior backer, but we know he's good in coverage.
Yep.
because he's played in a coverage position in the past. That to me, that's a hell of a feeling, because when I've coached linebackers, one of the worst feelings in the world is looking at my linebackers and go, God damn, I hope the secondary can cover everything, because I don't have a linebacker that's going to cover anything.
Yep. Hey, once he figured out how to cover that split zone RPO, he started looking good. He got burned a bunch of times in one game on that, but once he figured that out,
couldn't do it anymore.
I mean, I've had here in North Wilkesboro, I've had inside linebacker that I could count on making 80, 90, 100 tackles a year. But if the running back run a damn wheel out the backfield, that bitch was going to be wide open.
Good night.
Good night. I mean, I love the kid to death. He'd tell you right now. I could say, hey, what are we going to do if they hand the ball? Oh, we're going to tackle it, coach. What happens if he runs that wheel? He's probably going to score, coach.
There we go. Let me ask this, Robbie. Did you see much of Cameron Fleming out there in the practice that you observed?
Give me a number.
9.
Number 9.
9. I do not recall seeing a lot of him, but I'm not going to say that he wasn't there because of other things that I was probably looking at.
Yeah.
I personally wanted to see Clatterball out there to see what he could do and where he,
where he's at.
I'm fascinated with that with that linebacker style with that kid. And it goes back to the thing I talked about of whether he can be a big, tough, physical inside backer and still cover and play out and things like that. So I get more focused on things like that because I know those are the players that I have.
Yeah.
And so I do remember seeing a lot of Caleb Spencer. As we discussed, he's in that linebacker position now more than it is a safety. But he's another one like Woodson. We know they can play coverage style.
He can play coverage style.
And
you can deploy him for certain things. And he got some weight gain too.
Yeah.
Up in the mid 220s now, where you feel a little bit more confident about run support. Which
you said you saw some George Balance out there too, right?
Oh, George,
number 41.
We did see some balance out there. Number 41.
Nice. Shout out George Balance.
I did see him some, and so that'll be again, as you said, we know Woodson's going to be there. How it unfolds around after that. Is Woodson the guy that they say, hey, he can do this, and then we can run some nickels and some stars and some other different things that we want to see, and how the wheel mixes in and all of those things, just how they set things up. As I've said with mine, we run that 3-3. If you look at it a lot of times against some spread teams that are wider, my defense almost looks like a 3-1.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've got guys over top, especially if they go in an empty set. I've got safeties over top on both sides. I've got outside backers kind of split out. They're really inside backers. They're not the outside backers because I've got the safeties helping over and things like that. And, I mean, that is a very pro-style look for teams that are – so it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds and who they try to use in those places.
For alignment there, are you kind of splitting the difference between the tackle and the slot?
Yeah. So if we're going to play more of the 3-4 look, then those guys are going to be more edge players, and it'll look like for me, most of the time, it looks like a 5-2. But that's because I'm playing teams that are running wing T, triple option, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So, I mean, I move a lot of things around based on what I'm going to get coming at me. And I feel like Siefkes kind of looks at things that way too, being a D3 coach and, working his way up through things. I think he kind of takes some of that same mindset that I do, is finding those matchups, matching schemes that to take advantage of weaknesses from the offense.
Yeah.
Got you. All right, let's hit one last room, the cornerback room. I mean, we're outside of Dante Lovett and IBM, Isaiah Brown Murray, who's going to probably play a lot of nickel on the inside. He said that aloud today on his interview. A lot of inexperience. I mean, some young guys got to step up, right? And even if somebody steps up, do y'all think we still got a portal shot for one more, or do you hope either Knowledge, JoJo, or Deloach step up where it's like, hey, they can play?
This episode is brought to you by Diet Coke. You know that moment when you just need to hit pause and refresh? An ice-cold Diet Coke isn't just a break. It's your chance to catch your breath and savor a moment that's all about you. Always refreshing, still the same great taste. Diet Coke. Make time for you time.
Hit pause on whatever you're listening to and hit play on your next adventure. Stay 2 nights and get a $50 Best Western gift card. Life's a trip. Make the most of it at Best Western. Visit bestwestern.com for complete terms and conditions.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're going to be leaning pretty heavy on, outside of Lovett, the two Williams, Christian and Thomas Williams there. I feel like they're going to be the guys that are going to kind of step in there as well. It's one of those positions where last year it was an afterthought a little bit. You didn't really worry about it. And I feel like this year it's going to be, I think the scheme is going to take a little bit off of what they have to do, relative to what they had to do in that system last year. But at the same time, you're still going to need guys that can go out there and match up man to man and cover, and you're always going to need that to some degree. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys, most of them redshirt sophomores or younger, kind of step in there. So yeah, to your point, Curtis, it wouldn't hurt to go out and grab a guy if you found a guy that has some experience that you feel like could at least be in that, top 2, top 3 in the rotation.
What about you, Robbie?
Yeah, there's another reddish in the cornerback room, right?
That's Big Brother, who is coming from Winthrop, so coming from FCS.
Wingate.
Still FCS, right?
Yeah.
Local team.
Yeah. And he had a good season last year. He had 4 picks, 11 pass breakups.
Well, Wingate has been a pretty good football program here over the last several years. So, I mean,
that's Charlotte area, right?
Yeah, from Charlotte area. We know there's some talent in the bloodstream there.
It is
from
bro.
So, I mean, I don't, like you said, outside of Lovett, I felt like there were multiple people that rotated different things and did things, and they're going to try to find what fits them best. I've known Coach Cheetah now for numerous years after he was at Duke when I was in Eastern North Carolina, through some things like that, and he's going to have those guys prepared, and he's going to get the best out of what he can get. So, I mean, I think they're going to be well prepared. It's just a matter of who's going to step up and take the reins of what they need. Who's going to step in and be the guy and say, hey, you know what, this position's open and I'm going to take it. Joshua Clark, I know. Yeah. I guess we talked about that beforehand. I guess he got hurt recently.
Yeah, we don't know exactly what the extent of that is, but yeah, the word is he got banged up. So
I think he played a lot in the bowl game and did some good things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so he looked good in the bowl game. I know he got there was a couple he got burned on, but he was actually in really good position. Sometimes you just get beat. Like sometimes the ball's thrown where it needs to be. But I like the physicality he brought. He brought that kind of that physical mindset to the cornerback position. Robbie, let me ask you this real quick. When looking at the cornerback, what sort of responsibilities are they going to have within the scheme of the defense relative to kind of what we've been seeing historically here at Virginia Tech?
In my knowledge of this defense, the corners play a lot of your deeper to kind of man match type roles.
Okay.
There's different ways to unfold things in the secondary the way we do it, that I could ask my corner sometimes to sit underneath more like a cover 2 look, your typical cover 2 look.
Yeah.
But it kind of depends on who your corner is. If you've got a physical corner that'll take on a run or really go down and pop a screen that they throw out there or a check down, then you can play more of that cover 2 type sit look. If they're bettering the coverage wise, maybe you look more like a cover 3, playing them more deep, playing them on a match on a single receiver, that kind of thing.
Do you see
my thought process on it?
Do you see half field man, half field zone with some of these schemes like what Siefkes runs?
Yeah. You see a lot, like pro-wise, you see a lot of split coverages. For some reason, a lot of teams in the NFL now have gone to a little bit more of your traditional zone stuff and not doing as much of the split coverages.
Okay.
But it's especially when you look back at like the Darrelle Revis and that kind of thing, they would go against a team that would go, twins with a tight end and then a single receiver on the backside. Well, you knew Revis was going to that backside. He's going to that single receiver, and he's going to shut them down. You better figure out what you want to do with them 3 over there, because this one is locked down.
Yeah.
And I mean, that could be a possibility. If Lovett's that guy, then maybe they tell Lovett, hey, go lock that one down, and we force him to play half of the field.
Nice.
Maybe that's something he does. Maybe they have a receiver that, hey, we know we got to put our man on that receiver.
Yeah.
And then we'll take our chances with the other ones. I play a lot of, when I play my split coverage, I'll put a man on a receiver, and then I'll put a safety over top and maybe a linebacker inside of it. So I take away inside routes. I have help over the top for vertical routes, that kind of thing. That gets a little bit harder, the higher level of football. In high school, sometimes that one guy that's out there that I'm putting 3 guys in charge of making sure he doesn't catch anything might be the only thing they have.
Yeah.
You ain't going to run across a college football team that you just look at there and go, that's the only thing they have. We shut him down. They don't stand a chance.
There you go.
Yeah, I know, looking back at Marv, like there was a lot more like kind of man under looks last year. Do you think we're going to see a lot of that go away?
I don't know. Like, I think you have the opportunity to be able to see it, especially with the type of personnel that they could put on the field at times.
Okay.
I think it's still an option to be able to do. But, yeah, I love a man under look a lot of times, especially against a team that I know is not going to line up and pound the ball at me. That wants to throw some screens and throw some quick game like that. I'll play the man and rob it with somebody over top of it. But if you got a team that's going to come out there and the quarterback is a threat to fake that, take off up the middle through all of that,
it'll burn you.
It'll burn you.
It's going to kind of depend on that personnel again and the scheme that you're playing against, what you're trying to stop.
All right. So that kind of wraps up it right there. What we're looking for Saturday, it's going to be new. That's it. That's all you can say. It's new. Those who will be in person, like Brian, y'all are going to see it up close. Those who won't be, hopefully they do release a full tape at some point. If not, we'll go with highlights. And we'll be back here next week to definitely break down the game itself, what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like, who we didn't see, why didn't we see them, and so on. But with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode of the Boundary Corner podcast, brought to you by Counts Family Pharmacy in Blacksburg. I'm Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler.
Robert Compton.
As always, we're part of the College Huddle Network. Visit our website, boundarycornerbt.com, to listen to all of our episodes. Don't forget to follow us, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere you can find your podcast sources. We are out there. As always, Jason Long, our buddy, plays the thin play, is out. Yep, SWVA. I like the hat, Robbie. I meant to say that in the beginning. Check out Jason at jasonlongmusic.com, where you can link to all of his music, Apple, Spotify, his YouTube and Facebook pages, also his live events, and he is surely cranking up live events all over the New River Valley. We appreciate y'all for listening out there. Appreciate y'all in the chat tonight. And as always, let's go
Hokies.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.